And the polls show a virtual tie between President Obama and Governor Mitt Romney among key swing states. But the national matchups tell a very different story. And now here to break down the numbers for us, Democratic strategist David Mercer and Republican strategist Ford O'Connell. Gentlemen, thanks very much for joining us. Good to have you here on the
Thank you. Good to be
Mother's
here.
Day.
Happy Mother's Day to everybody.
Yeah,
Happy Mother's Day. Even to my mother who's watching.
Okay. Let's take a look at some of these recent polls. They really are intriguing. First off, let's take a look at the Real Clear Politics average right now, which was done through April 27th through the 10th of May. It has Obama at 46.7%. And also Romney at 45.4%. The Rasmussen tracking poll is a really interesting one. It has Romney at 50%, Obama at 43%. Romney up by 7 points there. What do you guys read into this?
The way I see it is the polls are polls, but they're not the Electoral College vote. And if you look at 2008 with Obama, in 23 of the 28 states that he ran in, he got more of a percentage of vote in those states than he did in the national vote get. So in looking at that, you got to look at the Electoral College, where he is strong among swing states, and those states is where it counts. Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, all where he now has leads, and that's where the campaign is going to come down to. And
David is absolutely right. This is going to come down to the Electoral College, and it's going to come down to whether or not Mitt Romney can win North Carolina, Virginia, and Ohio. If he can do that, he'll be the next president of the United States. But a big issue for Mitt Romney right now is the likability gap that he has with President Obama.
Right.
President Obama's got a 29-point edge on him, and Mitt Romney needs to make that up.
We'll take a look at that likability gap in just a sec, but first I do want to get to these swing state polls. USA Today Gallup poll did one recently, which has Obama at 47%, Romney at 45% in states Colorado, Florida, Iowa, Michigan, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Wisconsin. It's within the margin of error, neck and neck there.
Absolutely true, and we know that when it comes down to those margin of errors, you make it up with the ground forces. Obama has 25 state offices in Florida. They're only now in the Romney campaign beginning to get in there. You're going to see a new science brought to the art of campaigning for Obama. You're also going to see a continuity between the good times in the Clinton era and what we're trying to do in setting a course for recovery and having both Obama and Clinton out there instilling confidence and
David,
moving
this
ahead.
is going to be a very tight election. I do agree with you, and I do think the ground game is going to be extremely important. But the reason why this is a very tight election is because of President Obama's abysmal economic record. And the key for Mitt Romney, there will be essentially 13 million swing state voters that will decide this election. And the key for Mitt Romney is to get those independents and moderates in his column. And if he can do that, President Obama is going to be packing his bags and scheduling a heck of a lot more tea time.
One of the great strengths of Romney in the Republican primary battle was his ground game. In fact, he had the institutional work put out before him to a much greater degree than all the other candidates. Do you agree that he lacks the ground game?
That in that it was the air game.
President Obama is the New York Yankees of ground game, and essentially the RNC and Team Romney are really going to have to pour over this, and it's going to come out to who can turn out their base better, and that is really where the Republicans need to make up ground. And if they can do it, President Obama will be out of a job.
I'll say two things. One, it was an air game, and he blew them out with super PAC money, his opponents in the primary. It was not necessarily a ground game. That's one. Secondly, and with regard to what was just said by Ford, is that, look, when you're losing votes in the Hispanic community, when you're in a gender gap with women and losing votes there, almost a 19% gap between Obama and Romney, you got to gain votes, and every time he goes out there, every time he goes out there, he is losing votes. The more they get to know Mitt Romney, the less they like him. Going back to the likability issue.
Let's take a look at that likability gap right now. This is the USA Today Gallup poll that has Romney at only 31% to Obama's 60%. Correct. How does he make up that gap?
He's got to come out with a compelling personal narrative. And that's really the biggest issue, because a lot of independent and moderate voters really, he's not well defined in their mind. And the second thing he has to do is
can a dignified patrician like Mitt Romney do that in a Lindsay Lohan culture.
Yes, I think he can, but he has to go back to why he was an American success story as a businessman. He has to discuss why he was a competent governor. Most people don't know a heck of a lot about Mitt Romney, and if he can do that, he's going to close this likability gap. Look, since
this is his second run for president, and he's got a likability of 30%. The guy is in trouble, and they got to find, as Ford did say, a narrative that is compelling, and they have been fumbling on that for not only this election,
we
but
don't
last
have to win the likability
2008.
gap. We just have to close that gap. And if we can close that gap, Mitt Romney is going to win this election. But that is the job, because right now President Obama is staying afloat because of likability and superior messaging. That's the bottom line.
That is correct. I agree.
Ford, O'Connell, David Mercer, really appreciate you coming in on this Mother's Day in a couple of weeks. So I'll wish you a happy Father's Day. Good to see you guys.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone.